Well, it seems what we have here is a case of another authoritarian, which is today, especially at the federal government level, city, county governments. There are issues all over us where there's authoritarian, uh, seems to be the norm, the modus operandi of the people that are getting into power. This needs to stop. So, I don't know what the agenda is really in particular. It seems like it's just a conquest of control, not just of American people, but of the whole world. And we're in league with the United Nations who wants to dictate what we should and shouldn't do. I mean, quite frankly, it seems that we should have been dealing with this issue over in Iraq over 10 years ago when the Desert Storm and all that was going on. There was a lot of people there, the Kurds, for example, who apparently, from we let down and we allowed Saddam Hussein to go in and slaughter a whole bunch of people. For what reason? If we're supposed to help them, why didn't we help them? What? Because the UN said no, or the UN said to us, don't go in and take out this Saddam Hussein guy. That, from what I understand, we helped put in power. I could be wrong. I don't know all the facts and details of all this. I'm not a historian. What I understand, we helped put this guy in power. So I don't have a problem with the idea of taking him out of power. What I have a problem with is the idea of losing lives, American lives, day after day. For what cause? Are we fighting for freedom? Why does McCain feel it's okay to be in all these places around the globe for 50 years, 60 years, 100 years? What's the point in that? Look, I realize that there's an Islamic threat. I think that any group of people, this happens throughout time, any group of people who are intolerant beliefs, their faiths, their philosophies, their walks of life, if they're intolerant to the point where they will kill people for it, they're evil. Plain and simple, they're evil. They're dangerous to the rest of humanity. And I'm not saying that this is the only group of people that's like that, but it seems like that if people have a cartoon scribbling about Allah or whatever, and that's enough to warrant to be killed for and all this other stuff going on. I mean, from what I understand, there was something that happened recently within the last 2 or 3 months in Africa, where some high school student, or I'm not even sure the details of it. There's a student of some sort that got into some degree of trouble. Um, I think buildings were burned or something as a result of it for offending some Muslim or something like that. Well, that's nonsense, and it's obvious this mindset is evil. And if there are peaceful Muslims out there and Islamists or whatever they call themselves, then those peaceful people should be standing up against these evil people that are within their group. I mean, let's face it, back in the days of the Crusades and whatnot, not all Christians were part of that. I mean, it was a visible church that was controlling that and fueling that fire. This is not what Christ taught, but yet again, that was associated with these people. So if there's another association and movement going on, that is separate from the militant and intolerant Muslims, then those people should stand up and stand up for themselves and what their belief is. If, however, the Quran instigates or ignites a fire behind people to be intolerant and to kill people who don't believe what they believe, then there's something fundamentally wrong with that. Now, people have criticized the Bible, of course. There's death and whatnot. God kill people and all this other kind of stuff. Well, first of all, that's not happening, and that's not what Christ taught. That happened many years ago in a certain particular place, in a certain particular time. Christ didn't teach that, and that's not what Christians are all about. And Christians, Jews get along fairly well these days. We have our differences and whatnot. Heck, there's differences within the Jewish communities and within Christian communities. There's differences all over the place. We don't agree on everything, but who cares? We can get along with one another enough to where we're not killing one another. And so I do, accept and understand, acknowledge that there's an Islamic threat there. However, I don't believe that's the greatest threat to America right now. I believe the greatest threat to America is our unraveling society, our corrupt government. Corruption is just rampant. And sorry about the phone call. Hold while I. Sorry about that. Anyway, But we also have these talking heads now that are totally um, trying to disgrace Ron Paul, for example, when he is just speaking his mind and his viewpoints about various things. And now you have these people, well, Fox News, what I call faux news, of course, allowing Ron Paul and Hunter, I guess, also to be part of this debate for New Hampshire, which is totally insane. And you got these talking heads that are trying to connect the Ron Paul movement, the Ron Paul revolution, these people that are patriots. I mean, I've met so many Ron Paul supporters that are just wonderful people, very nice people, and they're trying to connect the 9/11 truthers with the Ron Paul supporters, which, first of all, what's wrong with the truth and what's wrong with asking for the truth? I never considered myself a 9/11 truther by any means, but by some definition standards of some folks, apparently you're a 9/11 truther if you question. Sorry about that again. I keep trying to cut this off. Um, if you question what is the truth about a situation, and my big challenge about that I don't never gotten an answer to is why are the videotapes that were confiscated by some government group, could be the FBI, CIA, I don't know who, some government group confiscated all these videotapes from around the buildings around the Pentagon. Now that's my biggest question about the whole thing, and I haven't yet to hear an answer until the government releases those tapes along with the JFK information that's out there. But that's a whole other story. But similar, until the government releases these tapes, then how could I possibly accept their story when they have these tapes? You know, all they have to do to squash the conspiracy theories is to release these tapes, and hey, it'll be over, right? At least for the Pentagon situation. So no, there's a definite problem going on, and in the situation is that we have people running our country who are not of the people, by the people, and for the people, and that's no news, folks. That's no conspiracy. I mean, you know, what are the biggest jokes of all time, or lawyers, politicians, and that sort of thing? I mean, there's no confusion about this. We have a situation where our country has been hijacked, folks, and we were living in a state of tyranny. It's not as serious like maybe as pre-Nazi Germany tyranny, but it's headed that way. Tyranny is tyranny, no matter how you slice it. When the government will not answer, for example, the We the People Foundation, Bob Schultz has been on this for a while, petitioning the government for a redress of grievances for the First Amendment right. This is a First Amendment right to petition the government for redress of grievances, and it started all in this case with the IRS, the Federal Reserve System. I mean, there's a lot of really evil stuff going on, folks. It happened for a long time, and people are just waking up to it now. So it's an interesting situation. I don't really have any more comments to make about this, but just watching McCain make these statements here just wants just I just wish I could get on the news up there on Fox News and broadcast to everybody in New Hampshire and say, "Wake up, New Hampshire! Get out there and vote." And of course, I'm voting for Ron Paul for many, many reasons. See a fair fight, so to speak, and we don't have that in America. So we're trying to use the internet, blimps, aircraft, and everything else to get the word out, get the message out. And that's what we're doing. And we're not a bunch of whack jobs. We're just people that are hardworking Americans, just like all the people watching this video now. You know, watching these videos, being online, and checking out what's going on, because we just don't trust the media anymore. We can't trust the media anymore. It's obvious that they're biased. It's obvious they're bought and paid for. And it's obvious that they're pushing an agenda and pushing certain candidates. And that's wrong. That's totally wrong, folks. So thank God for the internet. Keep the internet free. Vote Ron Paul. Over and out.